Welcome, everybody, to a deep dive on Harriet Tubman. Get ready to go beyond kind of the textbook version of her life, because we're going to unearth some pretty fascinating stuff today.
Absolutely. We often focus on those really iconic aspects of her story, but there's layers to her resilience, her strategic genius that are really remarkable.
Yeah. We hear about Tubman's early life, and it's usually these broad strokes, right? Born into slavery, 1822-ish, the horrific conditions. But one detail that always gets me is this head injury she sustained as a teenager, hit by a heavy metal weight.
Oh, it's awful to even imagine. It's
I mean,
awful. And it's crucial to recognize the impact of that. Not just, at the time, the physical pain, but, accounts talk about seizures, visions she had.
Right.
And, while these were likely neurological effects from this injury, these experiences, they wove themselves into her fate. It's almost like hardship. It didn't break her. It became part of why she felt driven to do what she did.
Yeah, that's such a good point. Like, they could have crushed her spirit, but instead it's like it fueled that fire for liberation.
Exactly. And then, of course, there's the escape itself, right? 1849. We all kind of have that image of her following the North Star to freedom. But think about the weight of that. The North Star wasn't just directions. It was hope. It was a future free from that oppression.
Mm-hmm.
And she's doing this knowing her family is still enslaved. So it's not just a physical escape, right? It's emotional, it's spiritual.
That's huge. It's huge. And it's not just even celebrating her own freedom at that point. It's like, this is a call to action.
100%. And that's where, of course, the Underground Railroad comes in. This network shrouded in secrecy and danger. And, Tubman wasn't just following a set path. The sources highlight how much planning she did. Travel by night, using the stars for navigation. I mean, the tactics were incredible to evade capture.
It's like a spy thriller
Yeah.
when you think about it. And the stakes. I mean, $40,000 bounty on her head, that speaks volumes about how much she terrified, those who wanted to keep slavery in place.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's over $1 million in today's money. So that shows you they saw her as this threat to the whole system. She could dismantle their carefully crafted world of oppression.
It's incredible she evaded capture as long as she did with a target like that on her back.
I know. It speaks to her understanding of not just the landscape, like literally, but the social landscape too, right? Using her knowledge of the terrain, the connections within the Black community, sharp instincts, to stay one step ahead. And yeah, the courage, just incredible. Risking everything, not for her, but to bring others to freedom.
And it's not like it stopped there. Civil War breaks out, and she sees a whole other way to dismantle that system of slavery.
Oh, absolutely. She becomes invaluable to the Union Army. Nurse, cook,
Yeah.
even a spy. Think about that. A formerly enslaved woman using her knowledge of the South to help defeat the Confederacy.
It's amazing. Just the trust she must build, too.
Yeah.
These people putting their lives in her hands.
And she never let them down. That quote from the sources always sticks with me. I never ran my train off the track, and I never lost a passenger. That's not just words. That's her dedication, the weight of that responsibility she carried.
Right. Every single person she helped was a victory in itself.
Exactly. And her contributions go beyond that behind-the-lines stuff, too. The Combahee River Raid, 1863, she was key to that.
Combahee River Raid. Tell me more. That sounds intense.
Pivotal moment in the war. And Tubman's knowledge of the waterways, how the Confederates were set up defensively. She guides these Union troops on a raid that frees something like 700 enslaved people.
700. That's incredible to have that kind of impact under those circumstances.
Incredible. And remember, she's not just a guide, she's a leader. This is strategic thinking, planning. The Combahee River Raid, it solidifies her not just as this Underground Railroad conductor, but a military leader. First woman to lead an armed expedition during the Civil War, by the way.
It's mind-blowing when you think about the prejudice, the discrimination she's facing at the same time as all this.
Yeah, it's a sad reminder, Even fighting for the Union, she's fighting against the racism baked into the very fabric of that time.
And it didn't just go away after the war either. She's right there in the women's suffrage movement, working with folks like Susan B. Anthony.
Exactly. Her dedication to equality, it wasn't limited to race. She saw how all these forms of oppression connected, you know? And dismantling that became her life's work.
Never slowed down, never gave up. It's inspiring, but also kind of makes you realize how much we take for granted now.
It's a testament to her spirit, though. that belief in perseverance, that understanding that equality. It's not a destination, it's a journey. You don't just arrive, It's constantly working towards it.
It really is. And it's kind of sad, Here she is, dedicated her life to this, and even after it's all said and done,
Oh.
she's got to fight for basic recognition, support.
It's the hard part of history, right? We love the victories, but those struggles, even for someone like Tubman, the sources talk about financial hardship, no pension for her Civil War service.
It's like you risked your life, you accomplished so much, and you're still having to scrape by.
Exactly. It just shows you how deep those inequalities ran. But here's what gets me. Even then, she's still helping others.
Right. Doesn't let it make her bitter,
No. The Harriet Tubman Home for the Aged, she founds that in Auburn, New York. I mean, come on.
Yeah, it says it all right there.
It does. This isn't some abstract fight for her. It's people's lives right to the end.
And even thinking about it now, the recognition she's finally getting, it's like baby steps.
Yeah.
The books, the documentaries, that whole push to get her on the $20 bill.
It's something, right? Shows people are starting to really see her. Not just Underground Railroad, but the military mind, the politics, the women's rights. She was a force.
She was. And in a way, recognizing her, it's like recognizing all those folks whose stories we don't know, who fought just as hard.
Absolutely. She's that symbol of courage, that resilience, that you never give up on what's right, no matter what.
Man, this deep dive, it's been something else. From escaping slavery to leading in the Civil War to fighting for women's right to vote, Harriet Tubman, she was incredible.
She was. And it makes you wonder, how many other stories are out there just waiting for us to uncover them? People who deserve to be known.
Right. That's something to think about for sure. Well, thanks for joining us on this journey, everybody. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep that curiosity alive.